Last section, people. All right, so on the cool shapes notes, we're going to do parabolas. And you're like, holy cow, we've done parabolas to death. But we're going to do them a different way. So if you will notice, the standard form is, and here's how you remember. We have taught you x squared. And an x squared opens up and down. Which means if we introduce a y squared, it's going to open left, right. If it's positive, so if this leads off positive, it's going to open up. If this leads off negative, it'll open down. If this leads off positive, it will open right. If this leads off negative, it will open left. Okay, so just pay attention to what's being squared. And then the way that we're going to do this is instead of having two foci, we're going to have one focus. The arms of the parabola will hug it. And so from the vertex, we're going to go find the focus, and then we're going to find it going the opposite direction to the directrix. And again, all this stuff will make so much more sense if you'll go out and just look, like even at Wikipedia, the way that they explain the parabolas and stuff, because they're all called conic sections. Anyway, here we go. I got an x squared equals a 12y. So, oh no, I did not flip the page. Hang on. So x squared equals 12y. Okay, so first of all, we have taught you x squared, so you know that this opens up, down. Second of all, there's nothing being added or subtracted to x or y, so you know your vertex is at 0, 0. I haven't moved it. Okay, so this is going to be the fun part. This 12 is a multiple of 4. Whatever this number is, it's a multiple of 4. So just for this one, I'm going to rewrite this and say that that is the same thing as 4 times 3 times y. Okay, so here's what I know. I know it opens upwards because this part led off positive. I know the vertex is at 0, 0. And because it's x squared, then that tells me it opens up, down. And then it was positive, so it opened upwards. All right, so that being said, where are my notes? All right, if I take this, your focus is going to be the x coordinate, and then you're just going to add whatever value for p is. And instead of following all this mess, remember the arms hug the focus. Okay, so how do I get to that point? That point is going to have an x coordinate of 0, and then how much do I add to it? I add not the 4, but the multiple. So that's going to be a 3. Okay, then the directrix goes in the opposite direction. So from this vertex, I'm going to drop down 3, and there's actually a horizontal line there, and that's called the directrix. And so it's going to have an equation of y equals -3 because it slices through the y-axis at -3. So literally a parabola is all of the points that have the same distance from this focus to the directrix. Okay, so as long as you're like this line and this line have the same distance, and when you pan that out, it makes a parabola. So what did I do? All right, so what is your focus? Your focus was going to be 0, 3. What is your directrix? It's a line, so type y equals -3. And then what's the graph of the equation? Well, does it open up, right, left, or down? It opens up, so it's got to be A. All right, let's do another one. We have x squared equals a -8y. And I'm going to go ahead and make this a multiple of 4. You can't see what I'm doing. So I've got x squared equals a -4 times 2y. All right, so it's x squared. That tells you up, down. It leads off negative, so that tells you down. There's nothing being added or subtracted to x or y, so that tells you it's going to have a vertex at 0, 0. And now I need to find out how far to go for the focus. The arms hug the focus, so what is this point? My x coordinate will stay the same because I'm moving up, down. And then how far did I go? I went down 2. Okay, so that you could just as easily put that and make a 4 times a -2. It doesn't matter. All right, so if I drop down 2 to get to the focus, that means I went up 2 to get to the directrix. So your directrix is going to slice through the y-axis at +2. Okay, so where is my paper? All right, so what do we have? We know it opens downwards. This is the only one that opens downwards. My focus is at 0, -2, and my directrix slices through the y-axis at +2. All right, let's do another one. we've got y squared. So y squared equals 32x. So y squared equals 32x. And again, and something else that you should be picking up on at this point is that only one of these is being squared. Okay, so it's either y squared or it's x squared, but it's not both. So since it's y squared, that tells me left, right. It leads off positive, so that must mean it's opening to the right side. And then nothing's being added or subtracted, so that tells me my vertex is still at 0, 0. This is a multiple of 4. So I'm going to rewrite him as 8. Hang on, I should write it that way. All right, so he's 4 times 8 times x. So what's the coordinate of your focus? Well, the arms hug the focus. And so how do I get from the vertex to this point? I must move to the right. So that tells me how far to the right. I'm going to move over 8 and not move up or down. Then what's your directrix? Your directrix is going to slice through the y-axis. If I went this way positive 8, then I must go that way negative 8. So my directrix is at x equals negative 8. Okay, let's do a couple more. I got x squared equals negative 16y. So x squared equals a negative 16y. So my x is being squared, so it opens up, down. It's negative, so it opens down. Nothing's being added or subtracted, so that means he's going to open down from 0, 0. And then this is a multiple of 4. Okay, so from my vertex, I could rewrite this as negative 4 times 4y. So I need to go up and down 4. So if the arms hug the focus, then from 0, 0, I need to drop down 4. And then I'm going to slice through the y-axis at go up 4. And so there's your directrix. So these are probably the easiest ones that we do. All right, so we have find the standard form of the equation of the parabola satisfying the given conditions. So I've got a focus at 2, 0. So my focus is at 2, 0. And my directrix is at x equals negative 2. Okay, so when I draw this pretty picture, my focus is at 2, 0. My directrix slices through the x-axis at negative 2. Well, if I go this way 2 and this way 2, then the vertex must be at 0, 0. And we're going to hug the focus. Okay, so he opens left, right. That tells me it's a y squared. So I've got a y squared equals, it opens right, so that tells me it's positive. And now I just need to know that it's 4 times, well, how far did I go? Left and right. I went left and right 2, so your multiple is 2. So your equation is y squared equals 8x. And I feel like I missed something. That is it. All right, so focus is 0, 6. Hang on, flip page. So your focus is at 0, 6. Hang on. And your directrix is going to be at y equals negative 6. So if you draw your pretty picture, the focus is at 0, 6, so he's here. Your directrix slices through the y-axis at negative 6. So that means that the vertex needs to be between those 2 points and the arms hug the focus. So he opens up, down. You know you're going to lead off with an x squared. You know that that's going to equal a y. There's nothing being added or subtracted because your vertex is at 0, 0. And then how far up and down did you go? You went 6 up and 6 down. So you have a 4, which is part of your formula, times 6, which is your multiple. So that becomes x squared is 24y. And that is your formula in standard form. So let's find some more. All right. Ooh, we're going to move it. All right, so we've got a y plus 3 squared. So y plus 3 squared equals, hang on, equals 24 times x minus 6. Okay, and you'll notice, I'm losing control over here, that your vertex is going to be h comma k, just like it was before. So whatever I have, I pull them out and change the signs. Okay, so don't worry about one of them's positive, one of them's negative, whatever. So what's attached to the x? It says x minus 6. So the x-coordinate of your vertex is positive 6. Okay, this is a y plus 3, so your y-coordinate is a negative 3 on your vertex. Okay, so let's start figuring out where to go from here. I have, I ripped the page. All right, so I've got a vertex at 6, negative 3. So here's 6, negative 3. So what does the rest of this stuff tell me? It's a y squared, so it's going to open left or right. This is positive, so it must open right. So it's going to go this way. Okay. This is a multiple of 4, so that's actually 4 times 6. Okay, so your multiple is 6. So from this point, which is 6, negative 3, you're not changing the height of this thing. You're only changing how far left and right it goes. So your negative 3 will stay. Okay, so how far this way do I need to go? I need to go 6 units. So if I'm at 6 and I go 6 units, then my focus must be at 12, negative 3. And then if I'm going to go this way 6 units, then that means my directrix must slice through the x-axis at 0. So I went this way 6 and I went this way 6. Okay? So that is that one. I keep messing up. All right. So that is, and then you're going to have to graph this stuff. Sorry, I just dawned on me. When you are graphing these, you must make sure your directrix is a dotted line. Okay, if you make it a solid line, it's not going to take it. So make sure that your directrix is a dotted line when you're going through this stuff. All right, so I can do about 1 or 2 more. I've got x equals, no I don't. I have x minus 2 squared equals, and then I have a negative 8y plus 2. Okay, so what do I notice? I've got stuff being added and subtracted to my x's and y's, so that means my vertex is different. So what's the x-coordinate of your vertex? Change this sign, so it'll be positive 2. The y-coordinate of your vertex, change that sign, so it's a negative 2. And then go ahead and plot it. So I've got a 2, negative 2, so it's right here. This is an x squared, so it tells you up, down. It's negative, so it tells you down. So I'm going to go this way. And now I need to find the multiple of this. So that's a negative 4 times 2. Remember, the 4 is part of your formula, so 2 is what you're interested in. So from here, you're going to go down 2, and then you're going to go up 2. So if I'm at 2, negative 2, your left-right isn't going to change. So your focus will still be at 2 something. But from negative 2, I've got to drop down 2. So that means I'm at negative 4. And then from negative 2, I've got to go up 2. So I'm at 0. So your directrix slices through the y-axis at y equals 0. And that will be your parabola. Another thing, and I can't remember. I think when you're plotting these things, you need to grab just an additional point because you got to tell it how wide or how narrow to open it. Okay, so what I would do is I would just grab a point either left or right from your vertex, or on this case, it would be up or down from your vertex, and just shove that value into your equation. So for instance, if I want to know what this point is, okay, then if I'm at 2, where am I at? I'm at 2, negative 2. So if I'm at 2, negative 2, I'm either going to shove in a 1 or I'm going to shove in a 3 and just figure out what that y-coordinate is. So let's try that. If I shove in a 1, 1 minus 2, so I'm just trying to find this point right here, okay? So 1 minus 2 is negative 1, squared is 1. So I get 1 equals negative 8 times y plus 2, okay? So divide both sides by negative 8. And then, so that gives me a good heavens, that was a bad call. So I've got a negative 1/8 equals y plus 2. And then you can subtract 2 from both sides. So find one that doesn't give you a fraction because it's messy. All right, but anyway, that's what you're going to do. I can't remember if you have to do that or not. But that ends up this video, and then we'll do the last few in a second.